In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, the Truthful, and the Most Just. May Allah's Salam Alaikum. We are thankful to Allah for allowing us to again come together with you for congregational prayer service. Excuse me. I I want you to remember the keeping up of prayer is to our spiritual life as essential as breathing is to our physical life. Uh, most people think that prayer is the ritual. You know, it's like coming together every Saturday or what. I guess we do that. We don't forsake the assembling of ourselves together for prayer and that kind of thing. But all through your day, all through your life, you should always, and most of, matter of fact, all of us who uh, believe in and serve Allah, we know that all day, every day, we are asking Allah's help. If that's not you, it's you faking this. At least trying to. So I know I call on Allah all day long. In everything I do, I always seek His assistance. Sometimes silently, sometimes just nobody but me and Him. I just, oh Allah, help me get through this here. Let me show me how to do this, whatnot. That's just natural for me, as natural as breathing. Um, I want you to um, as let me show you something here. This is over in the book of John, the third or fourth chapter. I think it's probably chapter 4. I'll tell you in a minute. It's the 4th chapter of John. And this was the 19th verse. The woman saith unto Jesus, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and you say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. Jesus saith unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when you shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. You worship ye know not what. You don't understand what you worship. We know what we worship. For salvation is of the Jews, not of the Jews. Salvation is of the Jews. But the hour cometh, and now is, When the true worshipers shall worship the Father in their mind and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him. Allah not looking for no people that go through a bunch of rituals. Allah is looking for people who fear him in secret, in their mind, and who constantly rely on him to guide their deeds and actions and seek refuge in him all day, every day. As the messenger told you, and as Jesus went on to say, God is a mind, God is a spirit. And they that worship him must worship him in their mind and in truth. That's the truth. You notice, people talk to me all the time and think they putting something over. And they think that I think they worshiping God, but not. And you hear everything coming out their mouth but the word of God. Anyway, so what's coming out your mouth tells me who you worship. So, but I want you to uh, look at this. Look at this news here and think about what I shared with you last night, and how these people that's in government, they you have some diabolical people sitting up here wanting you to die. I mean, what other way can you put it? If you know that a person has the means to provide ventilators and personal protective equipment and all the things that's necessary to get a handle on this pandemic and stuff, the Congress has the ability to let people stay home and still get a check and all that kind of thing. They got the ability to do this. Why aren't they doing it? Why isn't the president doing something? Why aren't these people doing something? It's because they want you to die. Even trying to provoke unarmed people to do something that would justify them shooting them down. Huh? Look at this.
Parents and adults that I've spoken to telling their children to get into that good trouble. And one man saying that, to go vote. If people really want to pay homage to John Lewis's legacy this year, make sure that they go and vote on November the.
Oh, and by the way, they even want you to send your babies out there in the middle of a pandemic. Send the babies to school. To what? Keep spreading it. Telling the teachers, go in there with the babies and teach them. So what you gonna do to the teachers? Kill them too? And you know, you can't put all the blame on them that's in charge, because you stupid enough to go do what they telling you to do. And that's what the devil gonna say when it's all decided. He's gonna say, Allah stood up there and promised you the promise of truth. And that they heard what I said to you. They heard me tell you that they found all of them viruses there in the snow. And then I took you where you can read it for yourself. I knew it before I read that. Okay. Now look down there in the Gulf at what happened. You remember I told you I could sit right here in Mississippi and watch Allah sweep all of you off their planet. You ain't even out of July yet, and this big hurricane barreling down on you.
Third, Alex. So folks will be able to go there and visit and see his casket there. And then the services will end in Atlanta later in the week, Wednesday, Thursday. He'll lie and stay in the Georgia state capitol before his final homegoing and ultimately be laid to rest in Atlanta.
I'll tell you, that procession crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge, synonymous with him. Perhaps the bridge will be renamed for him as well. I know there's a big move for that. That's going to be emotional tomorrow. Thank you very much, Priscilla Thompson. Let's go now to the very latest on the coronavirus pandemic. The surge in COVID-19 cases across this country showing few signs of slowing down. The U.S. yesterday falling just short of breaking its own single-day record in new infections, adding more than 73,000 cases. The number of deaths in the U.S. topping 1,000 for the fourth day in a row. The CDC changing its guidance on how long coronavirus patients need to be isolated, though. The new guidance says people who have mild cases can now leave their isolation 10 days after testing positive, as evidence is showing more people are no longer infectious 10 days after they begin experiencing symptoms. It used to be 14, as we all know. The CDC is discouraging those infected, though, from getting tested a second time. And some popular retailers are now giving a little more leeway on mask policy. Walmart, Home Depot, Walgreens, CVS, and some other stores that once required face coverings now say they won't prohibit customers who refuse to wear a mask from shopping. The switch comes in order to avoid confrontations between angry customers and employees. And a new plea from the U.S. Mint. Start spending your pennies, nickels, and dimes, please. A new statement from the U.S. Mint and Federal Reserve say the coronavirus pandemic has led to a national coin shortage, and they're now urging Americans to spend, deposit, or even exchange their coins. On the west coast of California, once an example of how other states should beat COVID-19, it is now surpassing New York in the total number of cases in the country. Let's go to my colleague, NBC Scott Cohn. He's at the Regional Medical Center in San Jose, California, with more on those rising numbers. Scott, listen, we hear that some of the hospitals in the state are beyond capacity, particularly when it comes to ICU beds. What kind of numbers are you hearing?
Yeah, Alex, as you well know, California is a very big and diverse state. We're going to try and chop that up for you a little bit and give you a sense of what's going on. San Jose, where I am, is one of about a dozen cities that the White House Coronavirus Task Force Coordinator, Dr. Deborah Birx, classified as concerning in terms of the trends earlier this week. It's not exactly clear what number she was referring to, but I can tell you that in Santa Clara County, which is San Jose, Silicon Valley, the ICU beds are running at about 31% of capacity, which doesn't sound bad, but these are levels that we haven't seen since the end of April when we were on the downslope from the initial surge of COVID-19. Now, a lot of those numbers are trending up. Let's look at the numbers statewide. About 439,000 cases now in the state of California and 180 or so deaths in the last 24 hours. That's certainly concerning. And as you mentioned, California has now surpassed New York as the state with the most cases in the country. Governor Gavin Newsom saying yesterday, though, that those statewide numbers do not tell the full story.
So again, hospitalizations are increasing, but there is a decrease in the increase, if you're following me, meaning the rate of growth is beginning to decline modestly. That is nothing to jump up and down about. It's just a fact. Again, these are statewide numbers and they mask the reality in different parts of the state.
Which is a couple hours north of me, where the ICU beds are near or in some cases surpassing capacity, and Riverside County to the south. In both places, the state has asked personnel from the Air Force to come in to try and relieve some of the pressure. So a lot of pockets of real concern in California. And in general, this state is not seeing the numbers go in the direction that they would like them to. Alex?
Okay, Scott Cohn, sobering, but thanks for the numbers. Let's bring in Dr. Neil Gandhi. He's the emergency medicine regional medical doctor at Houston Methodist Hospital. Welcome back to the broadcast. Good to see you. I hope you're well. And I want to simply start by asking you for a status report there, because we know that Texas has had more than 380,000 coronavirus cases. How about your hospital? How are they handling things? And does it look like conditions are improving in Houston?
Good day, Alex. Thanks for having me on again, and a special thank you to all of our nurses, staff members, physicians, frontline workers at Houston Methodist. We're 20,000 strong here. This week started, I think, in a little bit of a very crisis mode, and things have steadied, as you've mentioned. We've seen kind of a little bit of a plateauing of cases, which has been good. We've also been seeing a little bit of some increased ICU availability. What is concerning is that numbers throughout the week of infected patients and infected community members has still continued to rise. So we're not anywhere as far as being out of the woods just yet.
Okay, earlier in this show, Doctor, we were talking about the increasing hospital capacity in Florida, much like what we saw here in New York during March and April. We are seeing reports like this one in your home state. If you look at Starr County in Texas, it's saying that COVID-19 patients are going to be sent home to die if they are deemed too sick. Look, NBC News actually profiled Starr County. It was a success story for the coronavirus back in April. What is it that we're seeing here? Why are we seeing places that were initially successful, like this one, California as well? You heard Scott Cohn's report there, and they're now starting to backslide.
Yeah, the backslide, Alex, is quite concerning. Several very important factors which have led to this. One was the lack or inappropriate use of masking, the absence at sometimes of social distancing. So those two things, along with in the South Texas regions, a lack of access to testing. Many individuals
Sending them home to die. Well, what can you do when the doctors tell you to wear masks and you got people walking around here talking about they ain't gonna wear no mask and they ain't gonna do that and it's all a hoax and all that? What can you do but send them home to die? So, I mean, this goes to show you notice when you have people sitting in front of you arguing that wearing a mask is killing people. That's a person that's out of touch with any kind of real reality. But their mind is devising illusion and they're being deluded.
May Allah salam alaikum, son man.
May wa alaikum Allah salam.
I just wanted to tell you that according to an article posted today by the New York Post, 800 bar owners are coming together to defy their governor's orders to close, and they're reopening all of their bars, and they're calling it a freedom fest.
Let them go ahead. That's it. This is the day where, like I told you all about them beached whales. Nobody knows why the whales just beached themselves. Trying to figure out why a crazy person does a crazy thing and trying to make some sense out of it. There's no sense in it. There's no sense to make out of it. except that Allah has turned them over to a reprobate mind. And just like the Holy Quran says that they laugh at, they pass by believers, they pass by someone who's believing in the truth, and the ones who don't believe, they wink at each other and laugh at the believers. And the Holy Quran says, say, laugh, for we too laugh at you. I know one thing. When you hear stuff like that, it makes you not feel any pity or sorrow for people who actually defy truth and reality, and say, well, we got the freedom to open up our bars and get sick if we want them. Right? Yeah. So, okay, go ahead. Go kill yourself. I'm not finna get in no back and forth contest with you. Allah didn't tell me. He didn't tell me to come out here and force you to do anything. He said, son of man, give them warning from me. You do that, then you out of it. I'll take it from here. They got people down there in Texas. There's a hurricane coming in there, and they wants to go down there and take some pictures. Anyway, I just will let you see that too.
Were sick and they just didn't know. So that really led to a combination of factors, which unfortunately has really increased our hospitalizations down there. We've seen patients being transferred from the South Texas region up to San Antonio, to Austin. Some have actually been accepted into the Houston region as well. So as Texas, we're all working closely together to try to get in front of this. At some of these smaller counties and in more rural areas, as you get a few hours south of Houston, they just don't have the capacity, the infrastructure, the personnel to deal with this crisis. As we know, COVID-19 is completely preventable. Unfortunately, if we look at the current rates, this is going to end up becoming one of our leading causes of death, not just here in Texas, but nationwide. They're predicting that COVID-19 will probably end up being the third leading cause of death. And it's unfortunate because it's a preventable cause of death for all Americans this year.
Given everything that you just said, Doctor, what is that like for a physician to have to say to a patient, we're going to send you home to die. We don't have the infrastructure. We can't take care of you here, and you're too sick. We've basically got to give somebody else a chance.
Yeah, fortunately, that hasn't been the case here in Houston, and I'm hoping that we're going to be able to help save additional lives for our colleagues down in the South Texas area. But those would be very difficult conversations to have with anyone's family. Unfortunately, as you know, when many patients have gotten extremely ill with COVID-19, visitors have not been allowed to the hospital. So normally these crucial face-to-face family conversations which would occur are now even being occurred over the telephone or FaceTime or Skype. So these have been, I think, very challenging times, clearly for our patients, more so for their family members, but also for the physicians and care team members, nurses and other individuals who had to have these very crucial discussions.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Neil Gandhi, it's always good to talk with you. Thank you so much, and keep up the good fight. We appreciate everything you're doing. Hanging in the balance, the two major coronavirus relief measures now in danger of disappearing for good. Padre Island, it's packing now, 80-mile-an-hour wind.
Country under with West.
Back To breaking news is from the Gulf Coast. The first Atlantic hurricane of the season is bearing down on Texas. Hurricane Hanna is churning up the surf there on Padre Island. It's packing now 80-mile-an-hour winds. It is moving west at about 7 miles an hour. Pretty frantic preps are now in their final stages as folks are getting ready for Hanna to make landfall. And watching that storm for us this hour on Padre Island in Texas is reporter Chelsea Torres from NBC affiliate KRIS in Corpus Christi. Chelsea, thanks so much for joining us. I know you've been there since really early this morning. Talk about the conditions now. It's clearly wet, clearly windy, and how folks are getting ready for Hanna to make landfall.
Alex, we've been out here for about 8 hours now, and in this 8 hours, we've really seen it go from a tropical storm to hurricane, just intensified tremendously from the high winds, more rain, and an aggressive storm surge. Now, a lot of people here on this island, they have been preparing as of last night, boarding up their homes. There was even a gas station on the way here on this road that we're on that boarded up as well. And what you can see right here behind me is this is the barricades. This is what what you would typically see people driving around that little circle median where there's flags and people can actually drive on the beach. So that's kind of a luxury we have here on the Gulf Coast, is that people can drive on the beach. Well, these barricades are up, and the city's Parks and Recreation Department have already been out here a handful of times to continuously move the barricades up. You can see all of that debris out here behind those barricades. Not only that, but the dunes are typically a lot higher and a lot more closer in that circle median, but because of that storm surge, it's really just been blowing it through. And we actually have the Parks and Recreation Department out here again, just kind of keeping an eye on things. And they tell us they have about 25 miles of beach stretch that they're really trying to keep an eye on. But so far, this has been the biggest problem area. And honestly, Alex, this has probably been the worst part of Hanna so far that we've seen. The storm surge is just intensifying and getting more aggressive. She just keeps coming in and coming up over that median. Now, we did have quite a few people kind of coming out, trying to take pictures. And again, we're telling people, do not go to the beaches. Right now, they're all closed off. You should not be at the beach or anywhere near the beach. People are trying to get up to the dunes just to watch. We did talk to somebody earlier, and they said that they were here during Harvey, but luckily, a lot of the residents in the area do not have that sense of fear that they did when Harvey was here. So, although Hanna is definitely making herself known, we're going to be having a lot of cleanup here in the coming days once all of this clears up. Alex?
Absolutely. Chelsea Torres, thank you so much. It's clear you've been there all night, basically since the wee hours, but to your point, it definitely looks like a hurricane now there. Thank you so much. Coronavirus cases are on the rise in California. The state now has more than 443,000 confirmed cases. It is the most in the United States, with more than
Well, as the book says, all these things are the beginning of sorrows. That's over there in Matthew. I mean, the Holy Scripture is now reading like an obituary. You want to know what's next? It's right there. Let me see, in Matthew, the 24th chapter, and the 7th verse. It says, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom." Notice where the kingdoms of this world used to all kind of work together. You know, the political kingdom and the scientific kingdom, they used to work hand in hand. Now look at it. Huh? Yeah. Scientists telling you one thing, the politicians contradicting the scientists. Kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines. I read to you last night where, they made everything seedless around here. They done went through the earth and took the seeds out of fruits that allowed reproduction by planting a seed so that you have to keep buying it from them. Ain't that something? And I read to you where some of their seed storage places allow wiping them out. As good as to say, you through raping and robbing, pillaging their people, and fixing it where they got to come to you. Allah just wiping it out. You're going to be so hungry after a while, you're going to you're going to be wanting to eat each other, as the messenger said. And if the other one don't watch you, you will do it. So, it says, there shall be famines and pestilences. We're in the middle of pestilence now, and the scientists done told you since you wouldn't believe it. When I tried to tell you, I told you, go read it. They tell you there. You find where they bear witness to what Allah said. They done drilled in the ice and found viruses that they ain't never seen before. And warning you that that ice is melting and it's going to poison all of the waters and stuff that it run into. And it's going to be terrible. And the sad thing is, it says, and there shall be earthquakes in different places, in diverse places. And all these are the beginning of sorrows. Another place they say the sea and the waves raging and more roaring. Anyway, let me let you see what what I wasn't gonna show last night because of a lot of the language that's in it. But you need to see some of the stuff that war, especially unjust wars, bring about. As far as I know, war was actually never declared in Vietnam. It was called a conflict. But, I mean, you can't, how do you declare war on somebody who didn't start no war with you? You know, but I didn't know nothing about reasoning about whether, you know, I was like every other teenager of that day and time that volunteered. We thought that everything that our government was doing was on the up and up, and we were patriots. And even when people tried to talk me into not joining, I didn't listen. So look, this is what I'm gonna do. So I had to learn from experience. Well, let's see.
In the winter of 1776, at Valley Forge, Tom Paine wrote, "These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of his country. But he who stands it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman."
Sachs, S-A-C-H-S. Rest. Sax, SAC? SACHS. Age? 27. Military training. As a helicopter pilot. Oh, no, OCS? No. Marine aviation cadet. Market. Rank. For the highest rank attained. Whip it on us, baby. Highest rank attained, captain. No! I see duty period now.
Now these was Vietnam veterans who had came out against the war after having come from over there. Now you heard him tell them in 72 he was 27 years old. I was 22 in 72. And so he was 5 years older than me, which means now he's approximately 74 years old. Now, most of us was just youngsters when we went to Nam. Matter of fact, all of us was youngsters.
66, September 67. Have you ever witnessed any of the following? Or one prisoner shot? I don't know whether I have or not. This one might be apropos. Prisoners thrown from helicopters. Yeah, I've seen that. I've never seen him thrown.
Have you ever seen prisoners shot? He said he didn't know. Had you ever seen prisoners thrown from helicopters? And he said, yes. You can do anything to another human being if you don't view him as a human being. That's the first thing you have to do. That's one of the reasons why they teach you that the first casualty of war is truth. What, you think you can just keep on killing and killing and killing? And what enables you to keep doing it? You have to lie to yourself about what it means and what it is that you're doing. Because if you be truthful with yourself about what you think Cain, when Cain killed Abel, now how many times had Adam had their father ask them about where's Abel? And he said, oh, he over there in that field back over. Oh, he's over there way out there on the other pasture there. Abel, where's Cain? Oh, the last time I saw him, he was down there plowing such and so. But this particular day, the Lord asked Cain, where's Abel, your brother? I don't know. Am I his keeper? What was wrong? Guilt. You can't just kill another human being and don't feel guilty unless you convince yourself that that's not really a human being. So you rename them. That's what the devil tell you. Call them nigger. Call them jigaboo. Call them coon. Don't call him man, though. Don't call him a man. Because if you do that, then you know what you're doing. You know that's a human being that you're taking the life of. Call him a gook. Call them by their body parts, a slant eye. anything that separates them from being human.
Airplane because it's behind me, but we had a couple of guys from Philadelphia in our squadron. They used to blindfold the guys with safety wire and pull them real tight, so this copper wire tearing into their eyes and nose, and bind the hands with safety wire. And used to have contests seeing how far they could throw the bound bodies out of the airplane, and throw one as far as you can and see if you can get the other one farther. If you could approximate how many instances have you come across this of that in the two-digit numbers, say somewhere between 15 and 50, probably. Some of these people weren't necessarily either COM or NVA. Some could be VCS. You never know. Yeah. You never know. They're if they're alive, they're VCS automatically. If they're dead, then they're confirmed VC. Did you ever? We ever issued orders on taking prisoners or disposing? We were told, do not count prisoners when you're loading them on board the aircraft. Count them when you unload them. Which the naive young brown bar says, well, why? What difference does it make? And the wizened old first lieutenant says, because the numbers may not jive. And sure enough, you don't count them when they're getting on, because there was a little bit of a feeling here. The guy who told me this was a captain. And he said, don't ever count them when they go aboard, because presumably you'd have to say something if one of them got thrown out. Give your name, what unit you were in, when you were in, just tell a little bit of what you saw to make it more clear, exactly what happened. Sergeant Camino. I know you. You're an FO. Right. You were there, you were in Alpha Battery 111. Right. I know this guy, man. Oh, Singer, remember Singer? I thought I recognized you. I was sitting over there trying to figure out what the hell you look like this. My hair was those shorter. Last time I saw you was last year down on June. You were still down there. I got out in '69. What's this photograph? About a year and a half ago, I guess, yeah. The village being burned. The people were in the village. They, like they wanted time to get their goods out and shit. But we just burned down the village, and they had to leave their goods there or get burned. You might be able to come up with that. I was trying to find somebody that knew something about a bill wiped out in Quang Tree. Right, I was there. You got the area, and it was to set the example to show that we weren't fucking around. So the first thing was burn down the village and kill everybody. See, just to let them know they were going. Everybody was talking about it when I got there. Yeah, this is gonna. I forgot. I didn't even remember that. Right in me.
Now understand something. We wasn't trained. They don't train you in their armed forces to be police. That's why the generals and stuff, General Honore and all of them, they're telling you ain't no army got no business on the streets in the cities of the United States. They're not trained to be police. When you go in, you was a civilian, and they call civilians sand fleas. And you because they're trying to convert you from a civilian to so they have to demonize, make you not want to be that no more. Because they gonna send you off somewhere to kill a perfect stranger that you don't know what he is and don't care. All you know is they said that's your enemy. Okay, well, let's kill him. Yours is not the reason why. Yours is but to do or die. You start asking too many questions, you become a conscientious objector and they let you out. For both of y'all's good. You can't be out there with a conscience in a war zone. Because while you thinking about whether you should kill the other fella, he ain't thinking that way about you. He may get yourself killed and somebody else too. That's why wars should always be defensive, never offensive. When America was attacked by Japan, that was a just war. That was a just. You said, well, we had to fight, but we had to defend ourselves. That's why you didn't see a bunch of soldiers. You didn't hear about a bunch of soldiers from the war with Germany and Japan coming back half crazy. Because they understood what they was fighting for. They was fighting in their mind to protect their country. I don't care how much you tell me that we protecting America. When we got over there and saw them people living in grass huts and stuff, and people ain't had nothing, they weren't threatening America. You heard the young man say, you heard the brother said, we burnt down the village. We just went in there and burned it all down to show them we mean business. You said, son of man, you was doing that? No, I wasn't doing it, but I was over there helping. Whatever I was doing over there was helping what they was doing.
Because he's got the same company I have for first, and I'll pick it up right from there.
Okay, whenever they're questioning me, they'll have to get me to elaborate on it because I never do that. I forget all that one.
How could you forget that? I remembered it and I wasn't even in on it.
That was one of the last ones we did because then I went home after that. They did the same thing after I left that we were doing before I left.
Same shit. That's exactly what this is all going to bring out. That's, same shit.
When Operation Stone had we were sitting up on a railroad trestle, and then there was a river on each side, and there's another company behind each river. And like the people were running around inside, we were just shooting them. And like the newspaper said, Operation Stone, like World War II movie, when we just sat up there and we wiped them out, women, children, everything. 291 of them.
You heard that? Went from being shoe salesmen and went from being just normal everyday people to being mass murderers. And we never should have been over there and wouldn't have been over there if you hadn't murdered John F. Kennedy. Murdered him, then you set in motion the deaths of all of them young American Marines and soldiers and airmen, and even John McCain, who got shot down over there. All that was set in motion by the murder of the President of the United States. And you talk about it don't make no difference. You heard that old fool Grover Norquist sitting up there talking about we don't need no fearless leader. We don't need nobody to think it up. The leadership will come out of the Senate, the House of Representatives and the Senate for the next 20 years. Is that what he said? Let me refresh your memory. You get amnesia and you get selective amnesia. Now let's see here. me a minute. See if I can cue this thing up there.
Election and 12 in the Senate, and 60 votes in the Senate after 2014. And while you don't redistrict states, the nice people who drew the map of the United States redistricted it in such a way that we have all those lovely square states out west with 3 people who live in them. 2 are Republican senators and 1's a Republican congressman.
Now he's telling you how they gerrymandered district a Democrat to win it because ain't but 3 people live in the district and they vote Republican. Ain't that something? But listen, he's showing you how he took over your country. At least that's what they planned. And let's go a little further here.
To focus on that, he should win. He's a great guy, and he helped poke the first hole in Obamacare, and hopefully will be there to see us get rid of Obamacare completely. Now, on the White House, all we have to do is replace Obama. The challenge. He was a very, very good candidate in 2008. He's not a very good president. So a year ago, he decided since he wasn't a good president, but he was a good candidate, he'd go back to being a candidate. So last year, and for this next year, you've got candidate Obama. You don't have a guy being president. It's like William Henry Harrison. He wasn't quite president as long as the other guys.
See what you can get away with stupid people. Huh? All of the good that the Obama administration had did to bring this country back from all of that stuff that was happening when he first took office. He wasn't a good president. That's what Grover said. Right? Okay. Listen.
He's decided that it's too much work and he's going to be a candidate. And so when you're trying to...
The very thing that he accused President Obama of it applies to who? The person that he said he wanted in there. When has Donald Trump ever been president? Every time he got up to give a speech, he was talking about what Hillary, what with the thing between him and Hillary Clinton, right? He was still talking like a candidate, huh? Okay, just listen.
Negotiate with him or work on legislation, forget it, you're talking to a candidate. There are a couple of quick thoughts on why we've had some angst on the Republican side at the presidential level. The first is good news. We have all these candidates and haven't picked one, or rather at some point with serial monogamy.
Do you know what an ank is? It's the sign of a cross with a circle on top of it. It's life over death. You see, he can't, people like Grover Norquist, we invited him. Didn't you invite him to come in here? What did he say? He's not available. You know why he's not available? It's because I'm not dead. The people he talking to, dead as a piece of wood. Otherwise, they would have got up and walked out on him. Said, "Hey man, why you stand up here telling all them lies? What, you think we don't forgot the shape that this country was in when Barack Obama was elected? What do you mean he haven't done nothing?" And if you thought that it didn't make a difference who's president, you know better now, don't you? But listen.
They picked one at a time. But the reason for that is, unlike 52, Eisenhower, Taft, everyone knew which way to go. Rockefeller, teams picked up. Reagan, Bush. These guys were auditioned to run the party in different directions. Okay, and so what happened? We now have a Reagan Republican Party. Everybody that ran for president wants to run as Ronald Reagan, which is why you have conservatives supporting each of these candidates. This is it's not a problem. It's confusing, but it's winning. Second, we are not auditioning for fearless leader. We don't need a president to tell us what direction to go. We know what direction we want to go. We want the Paul Ryan budget, which cuts spending $6 trillion.
Don't need a president to tell us what direction to go. In other words, we don't need no head of the executive branch. We don't need no executive branch. Did you hear that? No, you didn't hear it. You're sitting up there clapping and going on for a man who telling you he wants to get rid of your government.
This is very easy. It block grants all the 77 plus welfare systems. It takes all of these unfunded liabilities and makes them fully funded and individually controlled by individuals. It takes spending from 25% of GDP down to 20% in 10 years and then down to 15% in out years. The Republicans in the House have passed 24 plus bills that create jobs and opportunity and strip out regulations. We just need a president to sign this stuff. We don't need someone to think it up or design it. We have a House and a Senate. The leadership now for the modern conservative movement for the next 20 years will be coming out of the House and the Senate.
See, you forgot that. Now, what's coming out of the House and the Senate now? Leadership? Even if he did say angst. I haven't looked that one up, but I know what an ank is. And that's exactly what he got there. You got people, just a moment. One of my brothers sent me a text about, he said angst. So let me look that one up. A feeling of, let's see here, an acute but non-specific sense of anxiety or remorse. Well, I wasn't far from it no way. Because yes, you did have some Republicans that were remorseful about some of this stuff that they saw going on in the Republican Party, and they start jumping ship. They got off. They said, this ain't the party that I signed up for. Huh? Which means that they were, whether you say ank or angst, they understood that the party was being hijacked. It had become a party of racism. It had nothing to do with Republican values. So I thank you for sending me that. But anyway, man, this fella's a character. What did he say? We don't need no fearless leader. The leadership gonna come out of the Senate and the House. In other words, ain't gonna be no president. Gonna be a rubber stamp in the White House. Ain't gonna be no president. Gonna be a rubber stamp in the White House.
Senate, the leadership now for the modern conservative movement for the next 20 years will be coming out of the House and the Senate. So focus on electing the most conservative Republican who can win in each House seat and the most conservative Republican in each Senate seat.
Elect the most that you can put in there. Huh? That's what he said. See, conservative is just a new word for racist now. Well, even if it's someone who is a conformist, someone who doesn't think change needs to happen, they conform to the current time, conform to the ways. That's why the scripture said, be ye not conformed to these. That's why the scripture said, be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. You cannot change a person unless you change their mind. I couldn't put a suit on him. If he was a redneck before you put the haircut and a shave and a suit and gave him a speech to say, he's a red, all of that. You ain't a man. You just changed the way he looked. Do you understand? If you was a nigga before you got to somebody put a suit on you and gave you a haircut and made a judge out of you, you're still just a nigga.
United States.
That's what you got now. Now, how's that working out for the country? In order to follow and pick a dumb man like that for president, you got to be dumber than him. That's why you walking around here when somebody tell you to put a mask on to stop the spread of a pandemic that they don't have a handle on, you argue with them and get mad and threaten to shoot them. And have some people done even shot people for telling them to put a mask on. Huh? Well, you're gonna answer for all of your low down deeds and actions. Every one of you gonna answer for it. So now I want to say that I'm here. You claim you my follower, but you doing everything but following. All right, that's gonna catch up with you. But anyway, look at him sitting there laughing and kicking while. Ain't that something?
This is a change, and the Democrats actually have been running everything out of the House and Senate for a long, long time.
Was that true? Was that true? No, it was not. That's one of the things that the Democrats was mad with President Obama about telling them, look, the president's job is to be a uniter of the country, not to play to divisions. So look, if you can't get a certain amount of Republicans on board with this, you better go back, talk again, because we're not going to divide the country like that. Now, go back and make some kind of agreement with them where this can be something that's bipartisan. Why? Because the president got to come back once a year, at least, I was told, to address what state the union is after he been in there. Up to that point, What is the state of the union? What condition is the union that we call the United States of America in? Are the people still united, or more united, or less united? Because to uphold the Constitution, you're supposed to be working towards a more perfect, more complete union. How you gonna do that if you're gonna ignore the minority party? Yes, the majority rule, but you can't leave the minority party out. You got to bring them on board. And if you claim that you leaders, if you are a leader, then why can't you lead? Why can't you convince people when you sit down and reason with them that your way is right and it's good for the country? And if they are reasonable people, you should be able to reason with them. So go back to the table and talk it out again, and make some compromises or whatnot, and keep the union together. Because you don't just collect taxes from the Democrats, you collect taxes from Republicans. That's the way president's supposed to talk to the Congress. That's why his signature has to be on a bill. And in order to override it, even that is something to bring unity. Because if they override him, they can't do it with just the Republicans or just the Democrats. The Democrats and the Republicans have to unite and 75% override him. Even that is designed for a more complete union. But when you got a man sitting up there talking about we need to elect somebody who can sign what we put in front of him. What do you mean sign what you put in front of him? He's supposed to be a check on what you put in front of him to make sure that it's preserving the union. Since he swore to uphold the Constitution, which was written for the preservation and the production of a more perfect union. Anyway, I'm gonna leave that alone for now. Since you know, and I'm gonna get on back here to what's next. Making a list of the things that they are going to testify to. So don't think that they doing it and making fun. They just thinking about how stupid all of us was.
Something that you really kind of want to say in terms of the crimes and why they happened. What bothered you most? I mean, what sort of makes you what brings you here? What makes you say I want to testify? I want to say something. I'd almost need a book to answer that, man. It's like just so many things bothered me about just that short period that I was over there. The whole 2 years I was in the Army. I didn't like being an animal, and I didn't like seeing everybody else turn into animals either. And I just sort of hope that in a way I can sort of relate what I saw over there to what's happening here, because no matter how much we as veterans can...
You hear what he said? When they asked him what made him want to come in and testify, he said, I'd have to write a book on that. You say, I was just, you know, I didn't like into an animal. When an animal kills another animal, it don't feel nothing. It don't feel sorry. Human beings are not animals, but they taught us we are. Literally taught us in school. I remember in school, they taught us that man is an animal. And if we're animals, why does, I've never seen an animal but if you can convince a man that he's an animal, then you've taken his identity, his true identity away from him. Then you can teach him that it's okay to act like an animal because that's what you are anyway. Right? Well, if we're animals and that kind of thing, if white, black, brown, and yellow are animals, why you got so many people coming back from wars and stuff now that's got post-traumatic stress syndrome of things that they experienced and did, just making them dysfunctional. They can come back here with having panic attacks and all that kind of thing. Well, why? Because you've been doing something that man wasn't designed to do. Thou shalt not run the car without water in it, in the radiator. Thou shalt not run the car without oil in it. Those are GM's instructions to you on what that car was designed to do and how to keep it doing the things that it was designed for. The whole duty of man is to fear God and keep his commandments. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness. And all them things that we were told not to do was because we are not animals. And when you do the things that you were told not to do, there's a consequence. Soon, you will destroy yourself. Look at all these people that's destroying themselves now because they ignored God's words. Now you can't even save their life. Don't make no difference. Allah said he was going to fill hell with everybody that followed the devil after knowledge came to him. Yeah. And that's what's going on. You can't even save these people's lives. Their own self-destruct. And Allah sending the pestilence, just like he said he's going to do. There shall be famines and pestilences. And all this is the beginning of sorrows. So I'm going to stop there. We're going to have prayer and let you go. So I see some of them, even when they're here, They ain't in prayer service, too busy walking around doing other things. Okay. Well, I'm telling you, you better cut that foolishness out. Now, um, you always put Allah first. First. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. All right, let's stand and have prayer. Hut, change, hut. Original salute. Ready in front. Prayer position. Allah is the greatest. Allah is the greatest. Allah is the greatest. Allah is the greatest. And I bear witness that I know of none who deserves to be served or worshipped beside thee. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, all holy praise is due and be to thee, O Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful Master of the Day of Requital. Thee do we serve, and thee do we beseech for help. O Allah, please continue to guide us and keep us on the right path and way, the straight path and way of thee and those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy favors, not the crooked paths and ways of Satan and those upon whom thy wrath is or will be brought down, nor the foolish paths and ways of those who go astray or who are led astray even after they've heard and been given the true understanding of thy holy word and teachings. Truly, I have again turned myself to thee, O Allah, striving to be totally upright, to thee who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheists. Truly my prayers, my sacrifices, my life and my death are all for thee, O Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate hast thou in this am I commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King. I know of no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess my faults and weaknesses. So please grant me and my true followers and family continuous protection against all of our faults and weaknesses. For none grants protection against faults and weaknesses but thee. And guide us to and instill within us the best of moral character and thoughts. For none can guide us to and instill within us the best of moral character and thoughts but thee. And turn us away from and remove from us the evil and indecent moral character and thoughts. For none can turn us away from and remove from us the evil and indecent moral character and thoughts but thee. And O Allah, we beseech thee for thy help and ask thy protection. And we believe in thee and we trust in thee. And we seek thy help to laud thee in the best manner, and to never be ungrateful unto thee, and to cast off and to forsake him or her who is disobedient unto thee, and to remove from ourselves all things that are displeasing unto thee and beside thee. And O Allah, please keep us in our right minds at all times, and let us not be or turn hypocrites or cowards, and remove from us the evil state of mind and thoughts of the wicked one, and place within us the righteous state of mind and thoughts of thy own, in thy righteousness and truth. And our Lord, please do not punish us if we forget or make a mistake. And our Lord, Do not allow to be laid upon us a burden as was laid on those before us. And our Lord, do not allow to be imposed upon us that which we have not the strength to bear. And pardon us, and grant to us thy protection, and have mercy on us, and forgive us. For thou art our protector. So grant us the victory over the unbelieving and disbelieving people, and over the hypocrites and the devils, and especially over the weaknesses and afflictions and evils that lie within each of us, and whereby we have been afflicted. And save us from the hell that thou hast promised the devils and their followers. And grant that we not only see the hereafter, but abide therein with thee. Our Father, Allah, in heaven praised is and be thy holy and righteous name. Let thy kingdom come and thy will be done on the earth, as it is written in the heaven. Give us this day the understanding and hearts that ever incline to thy truth and righteousness. And forgive us our trespasses, and help us to forgive those of our brethren who may trespass against us. And leave us not alone during times of temptation and evil, but stand by us and deliver us from all the evils thereof. For thine is the kingdom of the heavens and the earth, and the power and the glory over them are thine forever and ever and ever. Amen, amen, and amen. Hot chance, hut. Original salute. Ready front. You may be seated. I want to say to those who if you want to make it, you better keep up prayer. Now, did anyone have any question they want to ask me before I let you go? Then may Allah bless us, keep us safe, and in our right minds. And your right mind is to have a mind that you want to be upright in the sight of Allah. And we're not caring about what the world thinks. We care about what Allah thinks of us. All right. May Allah's Salam Alaikum.